Hello everyone, my name is Chris Titley and welcome to the FinTech Australia podcast. The FinTech Australia podcast takes listeners on a deep dive across the FinTech industry in Australia, focusing on the challenges, opportunities and big stories our community faces. Let's get to today's episode. Hi, it's Chris Titley here. As part of the FinTech Australia podcast series, we're joined by Karthik Srinivasan, founder of Ziksu. Karthik, thanks so much for being on the FinTech Australia podcast episode series.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about Ziksu to start off with, to get a bit of a background about what we're going to talk about today, which is tap and pay and scan and pay and different payment methods in Australia. So let's talk about the history of Ziksu and what they do and why you exist.
Sure. Let me start off giving a background of Ziksu and how we started, where we started. Ziksu incorporated in 2020 July. It took us a year to build everything. So we launched formally in July 2021, and we gave away for early adopters who put their hand up we had a first order advantage at the time with an app for scanning and paying. So we had early adopters who said, we want to test the platform. So we gave away the platform for 6 months. And then it actually started in operations since December 2021. Who Ziksu is, from a background perspective as well. Ziksu is a cloud-based fintech that develops very niche market-oriented product and ensures that the customer experience that we give from a payment standpoint is quite seamless. We focus on the customer journey, specifically on the payment side. And every bit of our product is sort of surrounded that, and that's how we sort of settled on scanning and paying as a first flagship product.
Excellent. For those out there that don't really understand the scan and pay and also the sort of types of accepted payment methods, I mean, it's obvious there are ones that people will know, but there's also other ones that are not known. And on other podcasts, I've had people say that there's 500 different ways to pay. But can you talk about the payments landscape here in Australia and which area of the payments landscape that you fit into?
Sure. So traditionally, since the last 4 decades in Australia, the payment landscape, specifically in store or when you visit a store or a shop, has been dominated by tap and pay, which is cards, right? Using a point of sale or a payment hardware or terminal. Now, you could pay using your card, which probably 3/4 of, I believe, users no longer do. It's mostly on a wallet-based, on the phone or on the watch or on the ring. The other method, specifically in store, is the buy now, pay later, which is more on the lending sort of side. What Ziksu focuses on specifically is providing a third alternative of payment in store using QR codes. Now, QR codes, since COVID, has picked up in terms of the being one of the preferred method for COVID tracing all over the country. So it became a sweet spot for us to be in and use that as a channel to build our product, specifically for an in-store solution. So what Ziksu, where it sits amongst the crowd, is we specifically chase the debit card market. When somebody joins the Ziksu platform, when they download the app, because we're 100% mobile only, both a personal user as well as a business user can download the app and open up an account with us. So when they do, we do a full KYC, which is know your customer or digital ID verification for a person as well as a business. In doing so, we open up an account in 1 minute for a person user and about 3 minutes for a business user. Upon successfully opening up an account, we give 4 things. We give a BSB, an account number, a pay ID, since we are connected to the new payments platform for real-time settlements across banks, and then we give a unique QR code. So we provide a true alternative in the true sense, in store specifically, against an FPOS machine or a payment terminal. And that is precisely where we sit.
We've seen over the last few years people that have come back from Asia talk about QR codes and payment methods using the QR method to pay. COVID obviously increased the adoption levels of the awareness of how to actually scan and what it means, etc. Why do you think sort of the Asian market's gone ahead with this particular method, yet probably not as well known here in Australia?
Yeah, Australia traditionally has been a little late to the QR code party as opposed to the Asian markets. And that is purely because of the penetration of the payment terminals / FPOS machines across the country. And that has been the sole reason why there has been a lack of adoption of QR codes in Australia thus far. COVID, as you rightly mentioned, accelerated the adoption. Even before acceleration, people started knowing what a QR code is. Had I probably gone out and done in the 16s or 17s or 18s, people would have said, "What is a QR code?
Yep.
How does it work?" At least now, thanks to COVID, in a nice way, and although COVID has not been good for the country or for the rest of the world, but from a Ziksu company standpoint, it has given us a good platform to take the QR code one step further. So we separate the education of what it is from what it can do, which is payments. And that's where the conversation for us with our customers currently are, is what a QR code can do beyond just COVID tracing and so on and so forth. The reason why it has not been adopted is purely because of the maximum penetration or monopoly of the FPOS market. But however, I would like to sort of bring your attention to is QR codes are now sort of springing up everywhere.
Yep.
It's used to scan menus at restaurants and hospitality sort of industries picking up. So QR codes are being used in many different ways now, which I am personally quite hopeful that it will bring a change in awareness and accelerate the adoption that we're seeing when it comes to QR codes.
When it comes to a business and personal use, I'll just go down the business path for the time being. The businesses, broadly speaking, have a payments terminal and there's fees associated with it, and there might be delays in remittance of payments and instant payments, etc. Can you talk about what Scan and Pay does differently from a business point of view? Then we'll get to how it can it be affected by or be more efficient for an individual.
Sure. So one of our flagship product that we introduced to the market was Scan and Pay, which is, again, I would like to reiterate, is an alternative to a tap and pay that we currently have.
Yep.
Now, from a business standpoint, we sort of target those markets where currently any businesses that uses an FPOS machine, and particularly so who is currently not in an integrated way, which means that when you visit a store, you get two set of receipts, one from the point of sale and one from the FPOS terminal itself, the actual payment terminal. So our primary target market is those sort of businesses / merchants where the point of sale and the FPOS machines aren't integrated, number one. Number two, when a business signs up, a business can sign up and start transacting within 3 minutes. Complete, and what we throw into the mix is a transaction account, a digital transaction account, complete with a BSBN account number for ease of use. Getting onto the platform is quite easy. That is number one. So it does not take time from a tap and pay perspective or acquiring a device. Somebody can be up and running on the Ziksu platform within literally minutes. That is number one. Number two, our channel is QR codes, which does not cost a thing, just an imagery, right? So the merchants save on having a device in the business. However, I would like to sort of also claim that a device would be required to do credit card payments. And that is why what we focus more on is the debit card sort of payment market landscape, which is sitting around roughly between $40 to $42 billion every month. The third main advantage is completely contactless, or truly contactless, as I would like to put it. Now, up until $200, you can tap and pay. But the moment you go past $200, you still have to touch the device to enter your PIN. So from my perspective and from a Ziksu standpoint, tap and pay is contactless to a certain degree. Beyond that, it is not contactless. Whereas a QR code is truly contactless. The only device that a user touches is their own mobile phone or a mobile device. Since we offer our product, our app on both a Android and an iOS set of devices, the fourth main USP, or as I would like to put it, for a particular merchant is instant settlements. And that is purely because we are connected to the new payments platform, which is NPPA. That allows us to sort of innovate on top of the NPPA sort of infrastructure, ensuring that every transaction that happens from a customer standpoint gets settled instantly. Not just within the Ziksu sort of accounts or platform, but also across the banks and institutions that are connected to the NPPA. So that's the fourth most advantageous or USP that a merchant gets against a tap and pay. Although there has been instant settlement sort of from a tap and pay perspective, but that is daily settlement in someone, and not every provider provides that. Whereas with us, it's instant every time. The other advantage, which is quite important, is the requirement of having a device to accept a payment. So in case a device goes down, and we've seen examples of payment terminals, for whatever reason, going down, businesses literally have to shut their business because cash is no longer as much in operation as it used to be, in circulation, sorry. So what leaves a business with? Nothing but to shut shop. Whereas us, it's a QR code, so the chances of us going down is pretty slim because it's an image, and we provide a true backup and an alternative in such sort of cases. And the last one, which I would like to sort of bring all the users of this podcast to attention, is with a QR code, you do not need to be in front of a device to make a payment. You can sit in the couch and make a payment. That is the beauty of having a QR code-based payment technology. Is payment can be done anywhere, anytime, as opposed to a NetFloss machine or a payment terminal.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like I've seen a few TV ads now with popping up with deals, etc., and just scan the TV, and I think one of the cryptocurrency exchange used an ad at the Super Bowl this year with just a QR code bouncing around the screen. A couple of questions that I've got on that, and thinking out aloud after you've described how it all works. Can we do a real life example with me walking into a retail store and buying a pair of shoes as well as a pair of jeans and maybe a T-shirt, because I really enjoy my T-shirts, and then going to pay for it, and then potentially, I'm a member of that particular brand, how that might work with loyalty, and just the actual process of me potentially picking up, 3 items and then paying for it and walking out.
Sure. So with the current rollout or the current product, with the current version where it is at, when you walk into a store, when you buy all those products up and you go to the counter to make a payment,
yep,
the merchant puts in the amount that comes up as a static QR code on their device.
Okay.
All you do as a consumer is scan that QR using the Ziksu app. Everything pops up automatically, the name of the business and the rest of the other details, including the dollar value, which a user cannot change.
Yep.
All you then have to do is select the account, which is the Ziksu account right now, and I'll touch a bit later on the open banking /CDI and how Pay tool comes into play. But as of right now, all the user has to do is just select the account, which is Ziksu, and also categorize their spend and make a payment. It's that simple. Okay. So it's literally a one-click, two-click sort of approach of making a payment using a QR code. So as a user, that is what you would do currently with the current app.
Yep.
What we are sort of building, and which we would sort of release in the coming months, is open banking, so CDR. So we would allow consumers to link their existing accounts, specifically debit accounts. And when Pay to comes, come April 2023, when hopefully all of the financial institutions are on Pay to, we would then be in a position to not just push payments, but also pull payments from existing linked debit accounts using a QR code. So as a consumer, in the next 4 months, they would have a 360-degree view of not just the finances, but also the ability to pull money from their chosen linked debit accounts through the Ziksu app.
Right, there you go. It's exciting technology to be had there. One final question. Broadly speaking, we sit here in fairly uncertain times in fintech and technology investing, and also what's happening in terms of the capital markets. Can you just share with the listeners out there why you're excited about the field that you're in and broadly speaking, fintech in Australia?
Sure. Look, fintech as an industry in Australia has been maturing over the last sort of decade or so. And I certainly believe with where we are today, with the number of fintechs sort of cropping up every year, it's a very strong sign that the industry itself is here to stay, for a start. And also there are numerous success stories in terms of the capital markets with the amount of investments that are made into fintechs, not just locally from local Australian investors, but also overseas international investors who are coming to Australia. And looking at fintech and the fintech players in this country as an investment option, which I believe is absolutely great for a nation. Alongside that, what the fintech industry brings to the entire banking/financial services is supplementing where the incumbents may or may not choose to operate, and bring that extra bit of value add to the industry. Personally, where we are from a Ziksu standpoint as an industry, I'm quite optimistic about the future and what the future holds for us and as a nation, as an industry. And I believe we're just at the tip of the iceberg in terms of integration. And given that newer technologies like open banking, CDR, Pay to yet to arrive in full force, there is more to offer. And I particularly believe that in Australia we still can have a quite innovative industry, and innovation can be at the fore from a fintech standpoint, and bring a lot of value add to the financial services industry and to the banking as a country.
Karthik, on that positive note, I think we'll leave it there. Really appreciate you giving us an understanding and an education on what is tap and go, as well as what you're doing in terms of the QR, scan and pay, etc., and the products that you're that you're evolving, and how the different payment methods are happening here in Australia. Also, based on what's been going on overseas, and also touching on the future of scan and pay with the integrations that you mentioned as well. Really look forward to following the progress of the scan and pay industry in Australia, as well as your company, Ziksu, and how that's going, and really look forward to catching up.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for your time, and thank you for having us again.
Thanks for listening to the FinTech Australia podcast. I'm your host, Chris Titley. The FinTech Australia podcast is a collaboration between FinTech Australia and Sub 11. For more information about membership options, news and the events coming up, jump on to the FinTech Australia website. Have a great day. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.